Hi to anybody who has clicked on this video and is watching it. This video seems totally repetitive for me because I have literally started recording this video now I think a million times because a while back I tried to sit down and do this but really I just wasn't ready to talk about this out loud yet, and that's fine. It was just too hard for me. And then so I thought when I'm ready I'm going to do it, and because like I've said before in my previous videos, it's really good for me to have a reason to sit down and talk things through, because as I said before, it's obviously just me and my daughter here, so there's not really anybody that I can talk to, but even then when there is somebody, I'm really rubbish at talking to a person. So I've decided now, Brooke's in bed, I'm going to do this. So let's go, let's do this, Shannon, you can do it. So basically, yeah, I wanted to do this to also, like I've said, it's really good for me to talk about things and talk through things. And recently I feel as though I want to, this is a good point for me to talk about, like, to talk through, it's kind of like my journey that I had towards mental illness, if that makes sense, because now I feel as if though I reached a turning point, and I will go on to talk about that, but I reached a turning point that changed me, made me do a 360, and now I feel as if I'm ready to start my journey onto mental health rather than like putting effort and time into mental illness. And for so long I really didn't want to admit that I was struggling, because I don't think that's the way to start this. Basically, just to start this, in case anybody's like never seen me before, doesn't know me, I have recently been diagnosed with quite intense depression. I was actually diagnosed with depression and anxiety a really long time ago, but because I really didn't really not acknowledge it, but I didn't really accept that at the time. I wasn't in a good place to deal with that at the time. I let things build up, and my depression got worse, my anxiety got worse, which then led into other things, like I'd developed habits that contribute to bipolar disorder and like eating disorders. I self-harmed for a really long time, and like before I start this as well, I don't want to say like, okay, this is me, I'm better now, like look at me, because I've done that too many times and pretended to myself that like once you share the fact that you are doing good, that's you better. Like, no, I'm not at that point anymore. I'm at a point now where I know that it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and it's like a long-term, a lifestyle to make sure you are mentally healthy. And this is just the start of me marking a fresh start towards mental health. So as I said before, I'm a young mum. I have a little girl who's 3. I had Brooke when I was 15, I'm now 18. And for a really long time it took me a lot to admit the fact that I wasn't doing well, that I was struggling in myself, because I thought that people were going to judge me as a parent, judge me as a mum, and think that I was a bad mum, when really now I know it's not that, it's me, I'm not a very good person to myself at the minute, and that's fine. But it took me a long time to understand that. And what really struck me was when I woke up one day after a really negative time and thought, this is too far, like this is starting to really detrimentally affect my life and affect it did. When it started really totally like visibly affecting Brooke, I decided I can't do this anymore. I'm going to share this. I'm going to just take this all out my head and put it somewhere else, just so that I wasn't isolating myself with it anymore. So I put an Instagram post and a Facebook post out there, just literally bearing all and talking about it. And what has led me to this point from that has been that I received a lot of messages, being supportive and really nice, which I really, really do appreciate, because it was really needed at that time. And but also what struck me and what really shocked me was the fact that I got a lot of messages from people like sharing their kind of stories with me, with their struggles, And it's as if because I shared my struggles, they felt able to then share their struggles with me, and I really, really appreciate that. Like, and I feel as if from that, the more people that share their stories and people see that, the more able people are going to be able to talk. And I wish I'd seen all that when I was at a really bad time, and I didn't want to admit that I was struggling because people would have thought I was a bad mum. And also because a lot of people messaged me as well and were like, that's so amazing, like, well done for doing that, because if I feel as if I talked about my issues, it would do this or it would do that. Because I feel like when people are struggling, there's always big reasons in their head and our heads to stop us talking and stop us admitting that we're struggling. Like for me, it was just really because I thought I was going to be seen as a bad mum, but also because I was put under the limelight a little bit previously about doing so well as a young mum, and I felt like I'd be going to be letting Brooke down. I was going to be letting a lot of people down if I admitted I was struggling, and people were saying like, oh, I couldn't do that because I didn't feel like I could do it because I'd be letting this person in and letting that person in. It could be, people might think if I admit I'm struggling, it's because I can't say because I'd be letting my mum down, my dad down, my family down, my friends down. But the issues are so strong in your head that they take over all the other million issues to talk. And I just want to say properly before I share my story that the reasons not to talk about it and share it are always going to be louder than a million reasons to share it. But once you do share that with somebody, with anybody, it honestly does feel like a huge weight off your shoulders, and that's the start of you getting better rather than putting so much into being ill. And yeah, so like I said, I'm sharing my story now, and obviously I'm not saying this is me over. It's going to be a long journey. This is me better. It's going to be a long journey of me sorting myself out. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about how I reached that turning point in my journey. So as I said, I fell pregnant when I was 14 with my little girl, and I had Brooke when I was 15. And I'm not going to look too back to that point, but honestly, like, I admire the person I was then, because I was so young and I had a baby, but nothing fazed me. Like, I had a child, and like, I was shocked. I had a little girl, and I felt like nothing could faze me. Like, I was strong, I was an amazing person, and I strive to be that person again, but also a better person, obviously. But like, nothing would faze me. What I mean by that is, like, I had Brooke, and I was like, okay, let's do this, let's get this done. Like, I need to work hard to get my life together. I was like, let's look after her, let's work hard. Like, I literally came out of hospital after having Brooke, and like 2 days later I was doing schoolwork to keep up. Her dad abandoned us, and it was like, yeah, obviously upset me, but then I was like, okay, let's get back to it. Like, I'm now on my own, let's do this. I lost a friend, didn't faze me. People, arseholes in the street, like in public, were horrible to me, and I was like, okay, that kind of upset me, but I can deal with it. I've got a child, I'm gonna keep on going. And I was so strong, so I really strive to be that person again. But if I was to pinpoint a point in my life where that changed in me, was towards like maybe the start of my last year of school, because I was doing so well for a good couple of years, and then it was my last year of school, and I was living in a house with my mum, my dad, my sister, her boyfriend, Brooke, my little girl, my niece, the dog, everybody. So it was a house full of 7 people. And when I say to people I felt really lonely, like, that's when I felt loneliest in that situation. People are like, alright, how could you feel lonely in a house with 7 people? But the thing with that is as a single parent, you are generally lonely normally. So, and it was kind of just emphasised then how alone I was. Like, I'm not blaming any people in that situation, but just in my head, it was just emphasised to me how alone I was. Because, like, say, me and my mum have always had like a pretty tricky relationship, and we would, like, say we would argue at night, then I'd go upstairs and my mum and dad would be in the living room and I could hear them talking. Sometimes about me, sometimes about other things, but they were just talking and I could hear them talking, which is fine. And then I'd go upstairs. In the bedroom next to mine was my sister and her boyfriend, and I could hear them two talking. I was like, alright, okay, cool. Then I'd go into my room and there'd be Brooke. But that was when it really hit me, because there was no one there for me to talk to, which is fine. But it affected me, and I'm doing it now, I'm still doing that, like, which was fine, but to me it wasn't fine, and I need to admit that, like, I need to stop being I'm fine, it was fine, because that was hard for me. And that's where I first felt the sense of loneliness, really. So then I started putting all my efforts into like come on, you can do this, like, let's just keep working at it. But then everything got a bit on top of me, and I was trying to be this perfect mum, this perfect friend, this perfect daughter, perfect sister, perfect student, everything. So I was taking quite a lot on. I was trying to look good to everybody, and I took it too much on, and it led to me like thinking I need to get everything done, which then stopped me sleeping. So I stopped sleeping, and this is when I really want to talk about how my mental and physical health were so closely linked together and how they were both affected by each other. So I wasn't sleeping very well, and it literally got to like so at one point I was in school and it was like a Friday, it was like halfway through the day, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't feel good at all. And I was talking to my friends at the table, whatever, and I was just like, I don't feel good. And then I started talking about how I was getting very little sleep, and that's probably why. But then I was like thinking about it, and I was like, oh my god, in this whole week, this whole 5 days of school, I have had 4 hours sleep. 4 hours sleep, like, that is not okay. But I was like, well, it freaked me out a little bit, but I was like, okay, like, well, clearly I can do it, I'm just feeling a bit iffy. But then because of that, I started getting really unwell, and I started, because I realised I was having no energy, because obviously I wasn't sleeping, I was trying to get everything done. I started to heavily relying on caffeine, and people take the mickey out like caffeine as an addiction, but caffeine is an addiction. Like, I swear to God, I will admit now I have a caffeine addiction, and I'm not gonna lie. Like, it got to the point where I was like doing double espressos before classes and all that, and like just to be awake for the class. I was bringing got to the point where I was bringing a 2-litre flask of coffee to school, and every single day I would drink 2 litres of coffee just to feel a little bit, maybe normal, but a little bit more normal, just like a bit more energetic and a bit more alive. But I would really closely relate that to like the caffeine to my anxiety, because that increased my anxiety levels to the point where I literally could not have a conversation with people without feeling anxious, and I would say yes to things, but then I feel totally anxious to it, and then it started taking physical effects with me, especially during conversations. I actually got referred to a school counsellor in my last year of school, and I was talking because people noticed that I just wasn't doing good, and the counsellor said to me, actually pointed out the fact that when I'm talking to people, I'm scratching myself because I'm so anxious, and I literally have so many scars now from just literally being so anxious and worried about things. Like, I would sit there at night and worry about things and like be thinking and scratching, and like I would be bleeding. Like, it's just not good. And so that then went on to me like thinking, like, that made me think, okay, you're not doing well, you're like, why are you not doing well? And I was really hard on myself. So then I was like thinking about something that I could control, and because I was so stressed, I was already losing weight, and then I thought, that's something I can control. It wasn't very like, oh, you can control this, like a big thought. It was just something that happened naturally. But then I started controlling what I was eating, because I felt as though everything else could be a mess in my life. Like, I might not be able to be as awake and as full of energy to play with Brooke. I might not be able to do extremely well in all my classes, but if I'm losing weight, at least I've achieved something. And that sounds ridiculous now, but that's what I thought. Like, I would think at the end of the day, everything else could have been a shitty day, but if I've got to the end of the day and I can say I've not eaten anything, then I felt like I'd achieved something and that was okay. So I started losing weight, and at one point I went through a phase where I was literally collapsing. There was a point in school where I literally couldn't stand up. I felt really dizzy. There was a few times in school that, there was times where I was out with Brooke, which is dangerous, and I had to hold on to things so I could stay standing up because I just got really unwell. I stopped getting my periods because obviously I was stressed and wasn't eating enough. Went to the doctor because I lost weight so rapidly that it came off my stomach really fast, and I started getting bruising around my rib area, which was extremely painful because obviously the ribs are pressing there all day every day. So I'd be walking around school like holding myself, couldn't pick Brooke up properly without like being in pain. So then I went to the doctor from that, and they were like, listen, you've just lost too much weight too fast. And it was actually at a point where I wasn't getting my period, I was literally collapsing, I was in pain all the time, and he said to me, you're underweight, like it's not healthy, you need to sort yourself out basically. So then I felt awful because I was like, how have I let myself do this? Like, why am I not perfect? Why is this not going well for me? Why is this happening? Why am I having all these effects on my body? So then I started just eating loads and was like, okay, I'm going to get back to normal, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Then I developed the habit of trying to be in control of that, but I was thrown up. I'm sorry. Thomas, I won't cry this time. So yeah, I started throwing up, and I won't go into too much of that. So basically I developed habits of bulimia, and that led on for a really long time until literally I had to go into hospital. I went to the hospital because I was in a lot of pain and I was coughing up blood. Won't go into too much of that. It's actually like one of the hardest. I went to hospital by myself because I was too scared to admit to anybody what was going on. I got my mum to look after Brooke, and I went to hospital myself one day after school. I just really wasn't well. I made up lies. The doctors I told talked to shit the whole time I was there, and was just like, yeah, I don't know how this happened, blah 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 blah. It was a really horrible situation to be in, and it made me feel so much worse. Because even after that, I still wasn't willing to admit that I wasn't okay. Oh my god, I don't know what else to say. So then after all that, I found I was leaving school. It was the end of school, and after leaving school, that was when I think I got to my lowest point. I felt the lowest. I think because school was like a really big support system for me. There's so many wonderful people in my school who looked out for me, even after I left school, who have always looked out for me. And it was scary because I felt like I was going out at it on my own. I'd moved in the flat, I was leaving school, and I was like, I felt like I was really, really on my own. Also, I think because I had Brooke at such a young age, and some like a lovely woman, like a friend that I have from school, who actually said this to me, that I don't know who I am, because I don't. And I think that's what worried me the most about school, because everybody was leaving and going off to do their own things, and that's like fine. See, I'm doing it again. Right, so I left school, everybody's going off to do their own things, starting lives and things like that, and I just really didn't know who I was as a person. Like, I knew who I was as a mum, I knew who I was. No, I didn't. Right, so before I had Brooke, I was an idiot child, basically. I was just a child, but I grew up so fast. Like, I literally grew up overnight, and then had Brooke. So, in every single situation and decision I've been in or made since having Brooke has been because I've had Brooke, if that makes sense. So I still don't know who I am as a person. Like, I didn't know who I was as a person, and that scared me because everybody was going off to do their own things and knew who they were from school, and well, it seemed like that. Obviously it might not, but it seemed like that to me. and I left school and I was just scared. So then, because obviously I was going to school every day, I was seeing the same people every day, I was socialising every day. From that, I started isolating myself, and that's when it got a lot worse because I isolated myself a lot more, and that's when the really dark thoughts really took over for me, and I got to the point where I didn't really see any way out. I'd put myself in this rut, and for me there wasn't, in my head there wasn't really any way out because I was too scared to admit that I was struggling. And I thought the only way to end this is to kill myself. And once you think that once, that's the answer, because anything could have happened to me, anything bad, any struggles, and I'd think, oh, doesn't matter because there's a way out now. And I just think, basically I just want to say at this point as well, the only reason I'm still here today is because I obviously wanted to make sure Brooke was safe, and I felt like in my head, I don't want this to make, like, I hate the fact now that I wanted to leave her, but in my head she was so much better off without me, and that's rubbish, I know that now, but in my head I was so sure that because I was so low all the time, I felt like I was being a bad parent for her, and I felt like she was probably better off without me, which is obviously wrong because now I know that. But yeah, I really thought she was better off without me, so because I wanted somebody to be here for her in that situation, to take care of her, I had to make sure someone was here. And if I didn't have to do that, I feel like I have to do that, if I didn't have her to do that, I wouldn't be here today. So yeah, obviously I contacted somebody to be like, okay, I need somebody to be here for Brooke. And there was a couple of situations like that actually, but the last one was my turning point because it was a really, really scary place, because I obviously told people that I was here. It's like when you feel that way and your moods, it is so low, but then it was weird because I felt happy because I could see a way out. So then I was just acting crazy. I was doing mad things that I would never do now as a sane person. I didn't mean same person, that sounded really bad, but I mean as me, as my normal, I wouldn't do these things. But basically I contacted people who are just the amazing people that I spoke to then, and they came here to see me and just basically saw that I was not okay. I was doing crazy things. I just wanted Brooke to be out of the situation so that I could be in this negativity, and they obviously seen that I was doing crazy things, I was acting mad, and they phoned an ambulance for me because I was acting that manic, and I had to go to hospital. I'd taken quite a lot of pills. I went to hospital, being crazy, fell asleep in the ambulance, all that sort of stuff. Went to the hospital, and they actually told me I had to stay in for treatment because they were worried about my liver because I'd taken so many painkillers. And I ran away. So much so I ran away with the like wee thing in your arm. Like that's how much I was like, okay, I'm just getting out of here. So I ran away. Don't know what happened. Because my moods were so up and down, I was like at a kind of mental level at that point. So I ran away, and then I was like, okay, what's going on? And then a day later, I started losing it again. I was just like, okay, my mates were just so up and down, so I was like, okay, I need not Brooke to be here. Why am I being entrusted with a child again? Because I am bad for her. In my head I was thinking, I am an awful person, but I wasn't. I was just struggling as myself. So I was trying to get people to take her and look after her, like obviously people that I trust. I was trying to get them to sort her so that I could be away, but obviously they weren't going to let me go away because they knew what I was thinking. So then I had to go back to the doctor, went to my doctor, they made me go back to the doctor, went to my doctor, they sent me back to the hospital for treatment that I'd ran away from because there was, like, my liver wasn't functioning through the paracetamol things as it should have been, so I worried about my liver functions. So I went back to hospital and I was told, okay, right, you're fine, like, well, you're not fine, but like we're okay, like you didn't get the treatment, there's still a bit of a worry, but you should be alright. Anybody else gets told, okay, there's a bit of a worry about your liver, does not go out and get drunk. But I was in not a good space, and this just emphasises how much my head was a mess. I got told there was worries about my liver, and obviously my family, God bless them, had Brooke to give me like time to deal with this. They had her for a few days. So I was like, okay, I've not got it. I am going to go out, and if I'm still here, if I have to be alive to do this, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get pissed. And I did. I got really, really drunk. And it obviously took a long time for me to calm down, but now I'm in a different place. But that was my point. That was the crazy point. That's where a lot of people seen what was kind of going on in my head, and is scary to reveal that. But it was, in the end, it's good for me because I'm now in a better place. Like, I'm ready to stop being a train wreck because I was making so many bad decisions. I was an absolute train wreck. So yeah, so now I'm in a different place, and I was going to say something else there now, and I've been on a rant and I can't remember what it is. Yeah, so literally now I look at that point in time, I was like, I want to end it, like I can't do this anymore. I'm not Brooke's better off without me, all that kind of stuff. But now I'm in a place where I can say now, I think about the times, there's literally been 3 times I have went to sleep thinking there's a really good chance I won't wake up right now because I was trying to kill myself. And every time I woke up, there's a reason for that, and I'm excited now to be here. I'm excited to get better for not only just Brooke, but now for myself as well. So I just want to end this video here because it's going to be the world's longest video, but this means a lot for me, and especially if anybody's listened to this for the whole way through, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I might do other videos on this again if I feel I need to talk about it. Maybe talk about my journey towards mental health, and hopefully you watch them as well if you've watched this one. Also, like I said before, there's always going to be a million reasons not to talk, but I hope if anybody's watched this, they take this as a reason to talk, because once you talk and share your story, it can only get better from there. Thank you. Bye.